What are you thinking
Tell
about?
me what you're thinking.
Have you ever thought about, I wonder
Why
why...
is that the way you think it is?
Is that really your opinion?
Shh.
The Thoughts of Thinkers
The
podcast.
Thoughts of Thinkers podcast.
All right. What's up, world? This is the Thoughts of Thinkers podcast, episode number 1. This is just going to be kind of a trial, see how it goes. Testing some stuff out. This is going to be a podcast about thoughts. Some thoughts that I have. I typically like to think and contemplate the universe and all kinds of cool stuff, so I find myself in deep conversations all the time with friends and family and strangers at the bar or whatever, and so I figured I would start a podcast just to kind of share some of those ideas. Some of them are going to be by myself, like this one. Some of them will just be conversations with people that I have. I've got all kinds of ideas for topics and stuff, and I'm just going to kind of go for it, I guess. I think a lot of what this podcast is going to be about is science related, philosophy related, social issues that are going on maybe. I don't really like to get too political and crazy, but sometimes I like to talk and think about some social issues, maybe a little bit of my past, some stuff that I've gone through, and then also just random conversations. Like I said, a lot of the conversations that I have with my friends and family typically do get pretty interesting. So if you're listening to this right now, thank you. I don't know how often I'm going to be putting them out, but we'll just see how it goes. I'm just going to kind of wing it. It's usually how I live my life on most everything, is just kind of fucking winging it. So here we go. I guess the first one that I wanted to do, the first episode, just to kind of test it out and see how it goes, I figured if we're going to do a podcast about deep topics, the first one should be a really fucking deep one. So I wanted to talk about probably what is the deepest, most complicated question that humankind has ever asked. And I think that would be the purpose of life, the purpose of existence, why we live, why we exist. And so, yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. So I guess the first thing that we would need to get into, if we're going to talk about life and the meaning of it, is what life is. Pretty simple, I guess. It would just be living. I mean, if you have life, then you're alive. You're living. You're experiencing things, right? And if you want to get into what it means to be alive, I guess my explanation of what life is to be conscious. I think that consciousness is necessary for life, and vice versa. I don't think that I don't think that a rock is alive because it can't really interact with its environment. It doesn't really have any experiences. I mean, if you throw a rock into water, you've got a wet rock. There's really no interaction there. There's really nothing going on. But with life and things that are living, it's a little bit different. They're able to interact with their environment, right? They're able to, reproduce and make choices, and, things happen to them and they can react. And on the most basic level, I think that that's what consciousness is, and that's kind of what living is. I think, and I think that everything that's living is conscious on a level on some level. We might not be able to understand it. I mean, if you try and think about what a tree's consciousness would look like, I mean, what a tree's experience is, it's probably pretty fucking hard for anybody to truly imagine that, right? But I do think it's there. It's just in a thing that we can't really comprehend or understand. So if you think about consciousness and life as just ways to interact with the universe, and it's basically just experiences, right? I mean, if you think about your life, and when I think about my life and what it is, I like to think about it as just experiences. I mean, your life is basically just a collection of your experiences, right? I mean, everything you've been through, everything you've done, it's all kind of come together to create who you are now. And not all those experiences are going to be good. I mean, a lot of experiences are going to be really traumatic or, detrimental to who you even are. I mean, it doesn't have to be good experiences, but all experiences is kind of what's created you now. And I like to think about life and consciousness in that way, is that life and consciousness is just experiences, really. I mean, if you want to break it down to the most basic level. And so when I think about life being experiences, I kind of come to a point, well, if life is just experience, then the purpose of life is to have as many experiences as possible, right? And make those experiences as best as possible. Whatever those experiences might be. I mean, it doesn't matter what those experiences are. It's just the purpose of your life is to make them the best as possible. And I think about, is there a true purpose? Like, is there an experience that we should be striving for? Is there something that we should be doing? And I think about the universe as like this crazy, chaotic place. I mean, it can send an asteroid into Earth tomorrow and everything would be gone. I mean, all experiences, all life, consciousness, all of human history. I mean, everything would be gone tomorrow if the universe decided to make that so. And so I think, well, there can be no purpose to life then. If the universe can just wipe us out tomorrow, then what was it all for anyways? It doesn't really make sense to me in that way. But then I eventually came to a point where I thought, well, that's even more beautiful. That's even better, because what the universe is doing is it isn't giving you a purpose. The universe is not giving human beings any purpose. And what it's doing is allowing us to find that purpose for ourselves. And the reason why it's so beautiful is because you get to pick. You get to pick what that purpose is. You get to pick why you're here. When you think about the purpose of your life, there is no purpose, and so you get to make it. You get to create that. You get to create that purpose for yourself. The universe will not give you a purpose. It's completely up to you. And so that's kind of what I like to think about when I get down. Sometimes I get down and I'm like, man, everything's pointless. What am I even doing this for? What the hell? And everybody goes through it. I think everybody has times in their life where they just kind of feel lost, or they're just kind of wandering aimlessly and not really knowing what to do or where to go. And you can, get really depressed or whatever, thinking about not having a purpose or not knowing which direction to go into. But if you can kind of think about it the way that I just explained, in that not having a purpose is better because you get to make your own purpose, whatever it is, then for me it kind of helps bring me out of those slumps sometimes. And so I don't know if you want to ask what's the purpose of life, I don't think there is an answer. I think the answer is anything. I mean, the answer is whatever you want it to be. If your purpose in life is to play professional basketball, then guess what? the universe created you so that you could play professional basketball. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it, you know? So think about that for a while. This is something that I like to think about when I like to contemplate things and contemplate the universe and all that kind of fun stuff. I like to think about things like this, and this is just kind of how my mind works. Like I said, hopefully in the future, I'll have guests on. I'll have conversations with friends, and we can kind of dive into these things a little bit deeper. Because I do like having conversation. I'm going to be honest, sitting here and just talking into a microphone is kind of weird. I guess I'll get used to it eventually as I continue on. But, yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it short and sweet for this one. Very first episode, Thoughts of Thinkers podcast. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear it if you even made it this far. Thank you. Yeah, and stay tuned. Peace.